Good morning, students. I'm Shikha ma'am here. Welcome to class 8th History. In this video, we will cover chapter first, that is how, when and where. What is that chapter name? How, when and where. So students, if you look these three words, that is how, when and where, these are the primary words. These are the basic word which is associated with history or any past event. For example, how did that happen? When did that happen? Where it happened? These all are used for the past event. Of course, from the grammar point of view, we can always use these words for the future events like how is it going to happen? When will it happen? Where is it going to take place? So, all these are future event. Since we are reading history, we are studying history, we will stick with the past event. So, let's start. The first topic of this chapter is how important are dates. How important are dates? Have you ever thought why are the dates so important? Or have you ever thought why the dates are so important? Remembering the date, learning the date is not an easy job, because when we see lots of dates we feel that yes, it is a boring task. History is a boring subject. Remembering the date is not an easy job. Moreover, is it not even an interesting task for many of us? But have you ever thought why we need to remember dates? Or why should we study history? So, you must understand that history is much more than dates. Actually, it is a comparison of past and present. When what happened versus it is now. It is just a comparison. And when you are curious enough to do that comparison, only then you will start to find history in an interesting way. It's mean when you start doing the comparison between the past and present, then only you will find that history is an interesting subject. Well, anything which we see happening in our surrounding, just think one thing. Just think one time कि whatever we have to see what happening in our surrounding must have a begin on some day. For example, when you drink tea or coffee, you could ask a question: when did people begin to drink tea? How did tea planting started in India? Very interesting question. Notice there was two sets of question, that is when and how. The how part is for explanation or reason, and the when part is for the date we are asking. So history is associated, history is linked with dates which make the comparison easier. Students, you need to be understand that there can be no one clear date to any event occur, since we do not have any solid historical proof to determine the actual time. Therefore, we have to rely on an approximately period over which particular changes become visible. We are not having the solid historical proof. That's why we are depending or we are relying on an approximately period. Okay, we just take one example. We cannot fix one single date on which British rule was established. I mean, we know that East India Company came to India first in 1608, and here 1608 I am talking about the year, not a date. And then they started rule in India from 1757 onwards. But we cannot fix one date. We are not talking about the date. We are talking about the year on which the British rule started. We have an approximately date. I hope you are getting my point. The next topic is crucial one. By what criteria do we choose a set of date as an important? So you need to understand that first of all the historical dates are not important. All the historical dates are not important. So the one that are important is purely due to the event that occur a particular time. For example, the date 1608, if I am talking 1608, it does not make any sense if we do not link it arrival to East India Company. Therefore, it is the event which make the date important. I want to say that if we give importance to any particular event, due to that we can create important of particular date. I hope that makes sense. Now student, we will just consider a good example here. If you see, most of the history in India was written by the British historians. Why? Because they were the ruler and they were the highly educated. Now what is it? These historians began their writing with the rule of the first Governor General. And who was it? That was first Governor General was Warren Hastings, and ended with the last viceroy, that is Lord Mountbatten. Their history is mainly focused, that is on the activities, policies, lifestyle of these men, of these Governor General. It does not talk about anything. They just talk about these activities, their policies, their planning, etc. So I think this is not a correct way of drafting Indian history. But now you can know we can write about the history in different way, such as different groups and classes in Indian society during the reign with so many governor general. We are just talking about each and every just problems and all. We just consider, we just divided it into a class or in a group. Now whenever we write history, we divide it into chapter, so it is easy to cover these topic in detail. It should make a sense and can be followed in forming a big picture, and most of the time in story or event are usually found a particular character. Why is it a big question? Why is it a big question that we are talking about the particular character? Why? Because in history, we already discussed, Indian history was mostly it was written by the British historian, and most of the time the content is around the life of the British Governor General, their duties, their activities, their lifestyles, their lavish living, all of those things. The activities of Indians simply do not fit within this picture, or I can say that give with these stories. Indians have no space, and we need another format of history where all events are related to Indians, where all activities, where all the events that are related to us. It would means that all dates will no longer have the importance the earlier had. A new set of dates, they just start make a new set of dates will become more important for us to know, because that time we Indians are involved in it. Just like we read earlier in the beginning that if we give more importance to the event, automatically date associated with that event because important as well as, so we had to start the new format of the history. And how do we the first is, how do we set the timeline? This is the big question, means how do we prioritize. Now one is it, just took one approach of James Mill in 1817. Who was James Mill? James Mill, I say he was a politician, he was a philosopher, and what he did, he just divided Indian history into three periods, that is Hindu, Muslim and British. The reason behind it, this was before the British came to India. Hindu and Muslim ruled the country, which is true. There is lot of discrimination. There was lot of discrimination based on the religion, caste, superstition activities, which was the way life back then. So all the reasons James Mill thought that British rule could civilize Indians. Already the Britishers thought that we people are uncivilized. So what is it? They just thought that only British rule could civilize India and help India to get out of the social stigma. He also felt it was the way to civilize India and to introduce European manners, arts, institutions, law in India. Basically what he meant, the time before British rule was full of darkness. This is their thinking. कि before the British rule, before the British just arrived in India, that time the Indians, the time which is going on that time, it was a full of darkness. After the British arrived in India, Indians started progressing and got civilized. Now this type of meaning could not be accepted today, primarily because the fact is that there was not a single period at that time which was referred to a Hindu or Muslim period. This fact does not exist. This is absolutely wrong. And we are having lots of example together in this period. If you see the rulers like Akbar, and I think you have already read in 7th standard, he was Akbar, who was a very tolerant to Hindu faith. He just even he had a he even had a Hindu finance minister, and his name is Todelmal. So there is no point to categorize based the religion of rulers. Hence, we discard the British classification of Indian history. Now another division came up where the Indian history was divided into ancient, medieval and modern. The reason behind this division is that the is present the transition from ancient to modern period, where and how society developed and moved toward growth like science, reason, democracy, liberty, and equality. But again, this kind of division has a problem as well. According to this division, when we say that society is moving, when we say that society is going from ancient to modern, that was not a completely true, because modern period is associated with British rule. And if you see people did not have equality, freedom or liberty in the British time. We are not having that much had not equality, freedom or liberty. This is absolutely wrong. There wasn't an economic growth also or progress. That is why historians refer the British period as a colonial period. Is it clear? But the first question is, what is colonization? What is the meaning of colonization? Now, what is colonization? A process in which one country is subjugate another, and thus bring the changes in political, economic, social, cultural field. That is known as a colonization. But what is the meaning of subjugation? It means to gain control over a country. What is colonization? A process in which a country is subjugate. Subjugate means what is it? Subjugate means that is subjugate means what is it? That is to gain control over a country, another country. And what that main country, that is the winner country, we can say that it brings changes in political, economic, social and cultural field. Now when British came to India and established their rule by defeating local Nawabs and Rajas, the British established their control over the economy, society, collected revenue to meet all their expenses, brought the goods they wanted at the low prices and produced the commercial crops they needed for export. They brought significant changes in the values, taste, custom, practices of their colony. That is, it is known as what? That is, it is known as colonization. Now the big question is, how do historians write history? What are the sources they refer? There are some proof or evidence they guide them, special about, I'm talking about 250 years of Indian history. So the answer of this question is, what is it? That is a official record of the British administration. Any document that is saved as the evidence or proof, I think we all can agree of that. And one of the good thing about Britisher was that they believed in the act of writing. Every instruction, whatever the instruction, plan, policy, decision, agreement, investigation had to be clearly written up, so that it is a very good thing. It is a very perfect thing, because if we write down things, we can study for the further and debate on it. So this is something British did religiously. They made notes, report almost everything. Therefore, British made a record room in which all the administration institutions preserve all important letters and documents. And then this is a step, this is a small step to do. Now today, if you see, you just just look schools, hospital, offices, where you have a record room or administrative office. Keep all the document and information safe. है ना, just we just see the our school also we are having the administration room. Now can you think about it, how this idea came and where it came? In Delhi we have the National Museum and National Archives. It is a record room which all the documents and letter of the governments and various administrative have been arranged as their date. This place have all the documents about the 18th century and preserved in a good condition. On a beautiful notice about the document that this British produced, and they had written by calligraphy. Those people had a beautiful handwriting. With the introduction of printing machine, these record with such a beautiful handwriting go printed into several and multiple copies, and they were spread around that. How each government department using the similar handwriting for official letter. So one can easily look at the letter and identify it important based on the handwriting. Now students, apart from writing records and building records room, the Britisher did another important thing. And what is it? They are conducting survey. They carried out survey, which is very important. It was common act under the colonial administration, and we already discussed what is colonialism. Now and look at this line over here. The British believed that a country had to be properly known before it could be effective administrated. Now do you think this is true? For everything you can do. I have a very good example here. If you want to sell a product to someone, and you will have to know everything about the product to educate someone, only then you can be easily sell the product. Therefore, whole idea knowing a country could be possible through the survey. Survey can gather information through different methods of observation. If you see today, the government does many survey for implement of many social and economic scheme. The biggest survey we all can remember, the census, which is done every 10 years to record the population of the country. Is it clear? Now let us understand the last topic. What official record do not tell? Official record. The official record only tell us what the official thought and what they wished to preserve for the future generation. Whatever we have to preserve for the future generation. Official record do not tell what other people in the country felt and what they lay behind their action. What is the action behind it? They did not or they do not tell. This is the official record which do not tell. We have to look somewhere else. We will not find them in an official record. So where the question is, so where can we find them? From where we get all these things? They can be found, the answer is they can be found in personal diaries of the people, account of the pilgrimage and travel, then the autobiography of the important person, and then it is important booklet, and that sold in a local bazaar, that is in the local market during that time, because printing press was active during that time. Hence, it must have many copies, popular booklets, idea, opinion that was published. So we need to look at them and then try to come with the possible conclusion. And again, all these documents, report, letter was written by those who were literate. Therefore, it will difficult to understand people who are not literate, like the tribals, the peasant, the worker in the mines, all the poor street cat, all the poor one. getting no idea, know their lives. We are not getting any ideas related to their life. So it is a very difficult task. Now going forward, we read about how this can be done. With this, we have come to an end this chapter. The question will be do in the next video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in next. Bye. Take care. Stay home. Stay positive. Stay sanitized.